lot. With a pink hotel, a boutique, and a swinging hot spot. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. They took all the trees, put them in a tree museum. And they charged the people $1.50 just to see them. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? They paved paradise.
Yes, we're going to Honeybee. Okay, good. Here's your Honeybee.
You were real close.
I'm going to Starbucks.
I'm shining to the world that I'm most flying Harvey.
Hello, everybody. My name is Thomas Lawrence. I'm not a former, I'm a semi-retired mental health therapist.
Which is called the Architecture Agency, is really to go into kind of what 5 different things were found about creating this.
Late last night, I heard the screen door slam. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? They pay paradise.
You know, Parking Day continues to grow all around the world. You know, in Japan, there is not a whole lot of street parking. Actually, they manage their streets way differently than we do. There actually isn't a lot of street parking allowed. And so why is Parking Day big in Japan? Well, I think it's because there's this need for these third spaces, these kind of informal social spaces that aren't commercial outdoor dining, that aren't a place you have to pay to sit, that aren't even like a sort of more formal public park. So informal, non-commercial third spaces is the need that Parking Day fulfills in communities in Japan.
So I know we had Parking Day, but I'm here now in Milan, and I had some opportunity to connect with a few people in London. So I want to let you know that we out here. They protesting for Gaza.
So you said you've walked by 3 times?
Yeah, I've variously been walking down the street for various things, and I'm so intrigued, and I was like, I need to just stop and find out what's going on.
Yes. Okay, so this is an open design charrette.
Okay.
And we are during Parking Day. Parking Day is a global celebration of taking back the streets from cars, or just creating third places in space, on the sidewalk, where we're just interacting and having a regular meeting.
Yeah.
And whoever walks up and stumbles in can see it. But Parking Day began in 2005 when John Bella and his team at Rebar, they put change in a meter and turned the parking space into a park.
Okay.
It was a congested street.
Yeah.
And so it was to force the situation of mass transit and biking and walking. And if you don't have those things, you're never going to fix the parking. You can't have enough parking for everyone.
Yeah.
So that's what this day is celebrating. And this is our 9th annual, but they've been doing it since 2005, and there's global little parklets going on all across the world right now.
Nice.
Yes. Thank you for asking.
Of course.
Okay. Jim has this. Perfect. Okay.
Oh, my handsome picture didn't come up.
No.
I took heads. Oh, man. No, I'm joking. Yeah. No, it's a pleasure.
Well, to go to die, but I screenshotted it before I could
Definitely.
Perfect. We have so much time.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm so glad I stopped you guys.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our 9th annual Parking Day. We're going to start our conversation here, and this is informal. You can use the mural, which is in the chat, to leave a sticky note if you have any questions. And we have Murray Davis, and Murray Davis is the founder of Creative Power Systems, and he's the innovator of microgrids, and he's here today to tell us about regenerative distributed power systems and the future of those kind of systems versus the electrical power lines that we have now, which are causing a honeybee collapse in the honeybee population. Okay, Murray, you go ahead, take it from there.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Monica. What I'm going to do is there's approximately 10 different metrics which we use in order to compare central station generation and transmission, like with transmission lines like this, transmission and distribution power systems with distributed generation in microgrids. We use 10 parameters or 10 metrics to do this comparison. Today, I'm going to do the condensed version. She's only giving me 20 minutes, and we'd like to have people ask questions on that. So she's only going to give me 20 minutes, so I'm going to only cover 6 of those 10. Right? But at least I give you some meat, a little bit of meat on
You
the
can
bone.
go over 20.
All right.
You can go over if you need
First of all, I'm sorry, what?
You can go over if you need to.
Well, okay, all right. All right, so let's start out with efficiency because that's a very important. The efficiency of a central station generation electric power system, that's typically the ones we have built today. You know, they're like on 80-acre parcels of land, huge coal piles, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of infrastructure, many, many, many miles of transmission corridor, whatever. All right, so when we look at the efficiency of those systems, which is based on the steam cycle, it's 38.6% is the efficiency of that system. And you probably would ask, why so low? Okay. Well, the reason is this. First of all, you're milling the coal, you're blowing the coal into the boiler. You know, the boiler is heating up the water. The water then is from the water we make the steam. We reheat it at higher temperatures and pressures and so forth. And then we will then direct this steam to the high pressure, the intermediate pressure, the low pressure turbines, then used to turn the generator, which is then used to be interconnected to these transmission lines to transmit the power out to the system. Okay? Yeah. Now, the problem is that steam cannot be pumped. You can't pump it. It's like trying to pump air. Okay, you can't pump it. Okay. Okay, so what you got to do is condense it. So after that steam leaves the low pressure turbines, it is sent into what's called a condenser, which has a set of tubes where the steam goes through the central part of the tubes, and there's river water, lake water, whatever that's on the outside of the tubes, which condenses it back in the water. The water then is pumped back into the boiler using the feed water pumps, and we go through that cycle. It's that condensation step where we lose all this energy, because if you notice, that energy then is dropped normally into the river, or it's dropped into the canal or whatever, and the fish may do great, but you're losing a horrendous amount of energy by dumping all of that energy into, let's say, Lake Erie for us here, or Lake Erie. Okay. And so therefore the system only has efficiency of 36%. That's only the generation portion. That's only the generation piece. I haven't talked about the transmission and the subtransmission and the distribution piece of that efficiency. Okay. That also has losses, right? In fact, the average annual losses for a typical transmission distribution system throughout the entire United States is 7%, the average annual losses. But on the peak load day, it's almost 20%. Okay, that we're throwing all of that energy away to serve that peak load because of the inefficiency of that system. All right, what our system does, by comparison, looking at efficiencies, the distributed generator is located almost near the load itself. Okay. Whereas our generation is sitting there and interconnected to the distribution circuits that's sending out the power to the load right there. We're not transmitting it through a system of transmission, sub-transmission, and various substations to get to that point. All right. Our losses is less than 3% of just that 7% piece. But our generation piece, because we're not condensing, we're not condensing steam back into water. Our system is 79%. And you say, well, how do you get to 79%?
Jen would like to know.
Nobody else does this, right?
Could Jen ask a question now?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay.
So on the lot, so if I'm hearing you right, then we're in the activity, you've got the 39%, then the 7% is of the 39, correct?
36%.
36. And then on high peak days, you're losing 20% of that 36%.
That's correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure I
Well, in other
understood
words,
that properly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So the overall efficiency is
It's really
even
bad.
less.
It's really bad
Oh,
because
yeah.
because you only got an efficiency of 36% when you generated that power, right?
Yeah.
Because you dumped all the rest of it into the river.
It's like starting
you
at
heat it
30
up the
miles
river.
per gallon and getting 2. Or,
Yeah, exactly. However, so the question is, the other question you should be asking me, how are you doing this?
well,
Are you
that's gonna be
doing
my
this?
next question. I wanted to make sure I understood.
How are you
further.
doing
Yeah.
this?
How are you doing it?
We don't throw that away.
Okay.
We keep it, and we actually use that energy to provide the hot water to the industrial and commercial customers.
Reclaim it.
We reclaim it all that we can reclaim.
Right.
Okay. All right. That's why our efficiency goes from 36% up to 79%.
Okay.
We've been as high as about 82%, some cases. All right. And the efficiency of the electric power side of it, that's the thermal side. Our electric power side, we're only losing 3% in our system.
Wow.
All right. So that's the
And
difference.
they're losing 7, right? 7 to 20.
The average annual losses for the electric power system from the terminals of the generator out to serving you as a customer,
Distribution, yeah.
that's the 7%.
Got it.
But on the peak load day, it's as high as 20.
Wow.
In fact, we've measured all that. In fact, I have published IEEE papers that go back, into the 1980s where we measured all this stuff.
Okay. So
It's
you have
all
the history
documented.
and the
You
trend.
look me up and you'll find all these papers that are published.
Thank you.
All right, so now we've covered efficiency in a rather quick way, but now you know how we are, generating power at much higher efficiencies. Now, the point of it is the efficiency of our generation is not that much better. Okay, it's not that much better. The efficiency of our generation of electric power
The down.
is not that much better. We're at like 40%, which is pretty damn good, okay? But what we're doing is not throwing the rest of it away. We're using that thermal energy that's left over in order to serve the thermal energy needs of the customers. You get what I'm saying?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
all right. So it's not a big,
So instead of just saying
it's not some
gone,
big
you're saying we
revelation.
can
It's not
use
some
this.
big revelation.
Yeah.
Our efficiency is 40%. Theirs is 30. 38 is the very highest there is with supercritical units like the new power plant 1 through 4
But
down
with
at
the
the
volumes you're talking about, that 4% is a big deal.
I'm sorry.
With the volumes you're talking about serving, that potentially serving.
Oh,
that
hell yeah.
4% is-
Oh, yeah, it's
Yeah.
huge. It's huge.
Yeah.
All right. So we've covered efficiency pretty well. I
Yeah.
think. I know it's quick. I know it's very quick. I spend many hours covering that different
Yes,
subjects.
exactly.
Okay, but okay, that's that one. Now let's talk about reliability. Let's talk about reliability. If you noticed, back in 1965, the reliability of this system that we're standing on right now, the reliability of this system was 0.21 frequency of outage.
Okay.
What that means is that every 5 years, on the average, I lost power. Or you lost
One
power
time?
every 5 years. Once. Once in 5
Okay.
years, you lost power in 1965.
Okay. Wow.
Once. Today, it's 2 times a year.
Right.
Now, that's pretty much universal across the country. The only difference is that if you go to New York City, for example, and Staten Island, I'm very familiar with that system because we've worked with those guys back in history, okay, on automating that system.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right. And if you kind of go back to that particular period of time, we were automating the system. In fact, I did the largest distributed automation system in the United States, where we actually automated 60% of the system. It was a hell of a lot of megawatts.
Oh, I
60% of the system. It would take 60 times 12,000
New York
megawatts.
Power Authority is Northeast, right?
Okay.
So that's a large
Okay, so the
grid.
power, what you're talking about, okay, in that particular area, they only automated that one circuit. We did the system. We did 60% of the system. Big difference, okay?
Yeah.
We automated that. In fact, we had 17 different functions that we actually automated. All right, now, so talking about that portion, which automation is very helpful from the standpoint of, getting reliability improved. Okay, because it's automated now, not sending a guy out, closing a switch to get
Right.
the customer back, or putting the lines back and all that. Okay, but the biggest problem with all this reliability is the fact that these distribution systems are all overhead, right? They're all overhead. Majority of the system, I should say, is overhead. Including you got the transmission system that's overhead, you got the sub-transmission that's overhead, you got the distribution that's overhead, and then you have to get out into the small, not the small, but the lower voltage distribution system serving the customers. Okay, then a lot of that's underground, right? The system that we do in our system is 100% underground.
Okay.
Okay, now, and I didn't touch on this yet, but that's one of the reasons why our system is significantly safer than the overhead system. Okay?
Yeah.
And the reason is because if you dig into one of our cables, it's already grounded. So the guy can't be, killed as a result of digging into an underground cable because it's already grounded. It's a ground potential, right?
Yes.
When overhead comes down, it's not. Not a ground
Not at all.
potential.
No.
You go up there with an aluminum ladder and see what happens to you. Okay?
Right.
All right. In fact, we just developed a system for Detroit Edison where we showed the aluminum ladder being touched on a wire and pulling it backwards. And I was able to get a 5'5" arc.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Oh, wow.
You'd be impressed with it. Okay. To show the customers, don't do this.
Yeah.
Don't do this. It's just
The
called
real
arcs.
real world.
It's called
project.
Arcs and Sparks is what it's called.
I like the name.
Okay, Arcs and Sparks presentation. Okay, so
Well, and that's the maintenance safety also, but not.
so now we're
there's-
talking reliability,
Yeah.
reliability, right? So you got trees, you got ice. So once we have ice storms, the power lines come down. When we have heavy winds, the trees get into the lines, right? The power lines come down, right?
Yeah.
We have hurricanes, of course, on the East Coast, some on the West, not so much. Okay, and we've also got tornadoes occasionally, but not that often in the plain states. We had one that came right through my farm, March 13th.
Oh, yeah.
First time in 100 years.
Oh, wow.
Didn't do any damage. All right, so all this stuff is overhead. So the reason why this reliability is so bad is because the trees are not trimmed. The trim cycle for tree trimming should be 4.5 years. That's what it should be. But none of these utilities are trimming their trees every 4.5 years.
Okay.
None of them. Now they may go through and trim a portion of their system, okay, and then get back to it again later on, but they're not doing that. Also, there's not hardly any preventative maintenance today like there used to be. And that's why that reliability is so bad. Our reliability is now, catch this, is 0.1.
Back to the 1965.
0.1.
Or
No,
better.
no. That was 0.2.
Oh, point. So
Ours
you're
is
even
once in
better.
10 years.
Wow.
And you say, well, how the hell is that possible? Well, it's simple. It's in the ground. The trees can't affect it. Ice can't affect it. Tornadoes can't affect it, right?
You're
And
eliminating all
the
those factors.
dig-ins can't affect it because if you dug into it anyway, you still couldn't create a fault.
So the 10-year cycle is really just like the degradation of the material potentially.
So, well, on the most cable, the EPR cable, for example, the EPR cable that cable has been put in the ground since the 30s.
Oh, so it's even longer. So that's
it's
not
all
even the
much
issue.
longer.
It's the key.
Very
Okay,
nice.
so anyways, the main reason is because it's in the ground. And what we call this is power without wires. And that's our title, power without wires.
Fire.
You look up one of our trademarks, it's power without wires. Now you might say, how the hell is that possible? Well, it's only the fact you can't see any of it, except like if you went in the house or in the industrial building, right? That's where you'd see the wires,
Okay.
right? But you wouldn't see any, I could look like this out across my area, okay, my total system, and there would be no wires that I could see.
Wow.
That's why we call it
So none of this,
power without wires. What, please?
for the distribution itself, you wouldn't have any of that. It's all
No,
underground.
it's all in the room. It's all in the room.
Wow.
Okay, so that covers reliability. The loss of load expectation is what the true terminology is for that.
Yeah.
It's called loss of load expectation. Okay, and that's point one.
Wow.
Now let's talk price. What do you guys think the cents per kilowatt hour are for your energy costs?
Cents per kilowatt or what?
What's your cents per kilowatt hour in New York? I know what it is, but you tell me what.
I don't actually know. Like, I don't have that like off the top of my head. I don't know what kilowatt, but
What is the cents per kilowatt hour that you are paying in your bill when you?
She's
you-
from
when
Detroit.
you-
from
when you-
Detroit.
Yeah,
I work with New York, but in my bill,
Okay,
I
well,
mean, is it
where are
is it
you
like
located
94
here?
cents? Yeah, I'm in
What do you think it is here? I know what it is here too. Go ahead.
like 7 to 14 cents or something. I don't know.
You're at 18 cents here.
It's 18.
By the
Okay.
time you
And it
include-
depends on the time also, right?
Yes, it does.
Peak
Time
from
of day.
peak. Yeah.
Time of day.
Yeah.
In fact, the time of day rate goes in play at 3 o'clock.
Yeah. Yeah, I did know that.
Which, by the way, I will just say this, and that's the dumbest thing you could possibly do. Because that's
time of
not
day.
because that's not the peak in the distribution system.
Right.
The peak in the distribution system doesn't occur until almost 10 o'clock in the summer. Because the air
because of the-
conditioning
yeah.
coming on and the lighting coming on, okay, coming
Whenever
on
it's using
right
it.
at that period, that's the peak. It
Okay.
isn't until 3 o'clock.
I was wondering about
Guaranteed,
that,
and
actually.
we have surveyed this,
Yeah.
we've done all this monitoring and so forth, and I can tell you that was a fact. Okay. good.
Yeah.
All right. So you're talking like 18 cents by the time you include taxes. right?
Okay.
Ours varies anywhere from 10 to 12 for our system.
Oh, wow.
And you say, well, how the hell do you do that?
You kind of
We're
see it
not,
already,
we're,
but
yeah, we're not throwing away everything,
right.
right? Look at our efficiency.
Absolutely.
Look at our efficiency of the system. If we were to throw away half of the energy, yeah, okay, ours would be up at 18 cents too.
Right.
The other thing that we do not include is useless, stupid, dumb wind power and solar.
Okay.
I did a study. It's almost 3/4 of an inch thick study. I think the date on that was I think it's 2003.
Okay.
I think it's 2003. On do not invest in wind power. Do not.
Okay.
Okay, because the capacity factor for wind power is 27%. Let me explain a little bit about that. The wind has to be up to about 7.8 miles an hour before the blades will start to turn. 7.8 is what they call the cut-in.
Okay.
Okay. Once you get up to 28, it's got to cut out because the power can't withstand the extra force, wind force.
Okay.
So you have to cut it out. Okay. So you can only run that
And
wind
limited.
turbine during that period where it's 7.8 up to 28. And the average wind speed in Michigan is 11 miles per hour.
Okay.
The average is 11.
Right.
Okay. The capacity factor, as I said, is 27. What that means, it's almost like you go to the car dealer and the guy says, hey, you can drive that car 100 miles an hour, but you can't drive it over 27.
Okay.
Oh, real? You say,
It
wait a
can
minute,
get
I
that
thought you
way,
just
but
told
you
me I
can't.
could drive it. Well, yeah, the capacity of the system
Can handle that.
is 3.4 megawatts is what it is here. Each unit is 3.4 megawatts, each unit.
Yeah.
Okay, because you only get 27% out for the year.
Wow.
There's a guy that, this was 2 years ago, sits about 3 rows behind me in church. It was on August the 3rd, so he that parking lane. It was clear. I asked him, I said, hey, what's the total amount of wind energy that you're generating right now? And that was when we had 500,
Yes.
okay? He said 0.
0.
None, 0. 0.
Wow.
Because he looked it up on his telephone. Okay, because he had access to all the
You can see
data.
it digitally.
Yeah.
Wow.
0, he said. It's only 27%. He would invest in a system, 20% of the system capacity out of it on the average? No, it's dumb. Now, that's only a portion of the dumb part of it.
What's happening to the
That's even
other
worse.
75? You know,
It's even worse.
three-quarters.
It's even worse. All right. Now, I don't know if you know how power is bid into the system, but let me cover it
Yeah.
briefly. Okay. I'm going to come up with what the power requirement is. Okay, every 3 hours for 24 hours. Okay, but typically it's done for at least 2 days into the future in detail. Don't be
You're gonna
forecast.
do the honeybees, correct, too?
Sorry, what?
Are you gonna get into the honeybees?
Yes,
as
I am.
well?
Yeah,
Or
sure.
I don't wanna
I know we're getting
lose
there.
that. Okay,
We're
good.
getting
Okay,
there.
good.
All right. Yeah, so let me get back to okay, bidding into the system. All right. Most of the generation will then bid into the once they know what the load is going to be every 3 hours. Okay, each generator he's bids into the system, right?
Yeah.
He bids in. And the nukes they bid in at 0. And you say, whoa, why do they bid in at 0? It's simple because they want to run.
Right.
They have to run. They can't. You can't cycle different units. Okay? You can't do that. Okay, so they bid in at 0. Now that's not what they get paid. That's just what they bid in.
Right.
Okay. In other words, they get it's almost like straight, almost like the striking price. They get paid like what's like the striking.
Yeah.
You know, like it stocks.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. All right. Okay. So do you know what the wind guys bid in at?
But
They bid in at 100. You know what the average is of most of the other generation? It's around 40.
wow.
Yeah. How do you think the price of it? We're getting into why is the price so high?
Efficient.
We're getting into why is the
Yeah.
price so high? The renewable energy is what's driving the prices up.
Okay.
Okay, with no benefit at all.
Okay.
No benefit at all. Okay. So there's why the prices are high. So we cover reliability price, and I will briefly cover infrastructure, saying that look at the hundreds of thousands. And it's actually almost millions of miles of right of way and so forth that's eaten up with this kind of structures and other types of electrical facilities, right? And in the paper, it covers all that stuff in detail. All right.
Yes.
Now, and I've already covered losses. Now we're going to talk about
Honeybees.
biological effects, which our good friend over here, Monica, is going to be giving me a honeybee.
Yes, we're going to honeybee. Okay, good.
Giving me a
Here's your honeybee.
You were real close. You see how?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, we were close. All right. I think all of you have probably
It
heard
looks more like
about the
a thumb.
fact that there is a decline in the number of honeybees that's used for pollination.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In fact, I have heard many different numbers published on this of what the value of the honeybee is for pollination. You know, because there's certain plants, vegetables, or whatever out there. If they're not pollinated with the honeybee, you don't have that value of whatever that vegetable or whatever it may have.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's like 150 billion worldwide.
Wow.
The honeybee value. So it has significant value. Right? Okay, now let's talk about the Earth's magnetic field. The Earth's magnetic field is 25 Teslas times 10 to the minus 6. Okay. And it goes up to approximately 65 Teslas times 10 to the minus 6 is the electromagnetic field strength of the Earth. Now, on solar flares, which is every 11 years, that number gets high quickly, but then goes away. And this is where, when the solar flares occur on the sun, the electromagnetic wave, propagates, and it starts pushing against our electromagnetic system, going from the north and south pole, we have electromagnetic lines of force there. It pushes on those lines of force, pushes. And it's so much bigger in magnitude that it actually pushes through and realigns, and that's called whiplash, with our magnetic field. Well, when that happens, it creates a voltage. And that voltage has caused major electric power, large power transformer failures.
Okay.
Okay. And mostly they've occurred in Sweden, but it's mostly in areas, for example, like what we have in the Adirondacks and places like that, but not so much in the Midwest. Whatever. All right. Now, because it creates this extra flux, and the transformer hasn't been designed for that. It's only been designed to the flux we create, not something external.
Okay.
That's the reason.
Yeah.
All right. Now, what's really interesting about this is the electromagnetic field of the Earth is steady state. It's always there. God created it. It's always there. As I say, it varies anywhere from 25 to 65.
Okay.
What do you think the magnetic field is of this? Any guesses?
10?
Any guesses?
80.
10?
What?
80.
How?
I went lower. 10?
80? No, you're way too low.
Oh, wow.
I'll give you.
Oh, wow. 300?
Yeah.
300?
That's way too low.
Oh, wow. 1,000?
There we go.
Wow.
Okay, in that paper that she has shown up here,
Hold on one, which,
she got
the
it.
nature, the science paper?
Yeah.
Okay.
You have it there?
Yep.
Okay, you'll show 100 to 1,000 Teslas times 10 to the minus 6. Okay. Now, in that paper, they don't tell you what the value is as far as voltage is concerned.
Yeah.
Now we're going to step into the kind of the calculation phase here
Okay.
a little bit, so don't get scared in here. But here's what happens is we have a 60 cycle waveform, right?
Yeah.
60 cycles per second.
Yeah.
The electromagnetic field of the Earth is steady state. It doesn't have any change in waveform. None. Zero. Nothing. Okay. It's flat.
Okay.
Steady state. When it's flat, there is no voltage that's created by the electromagnetic field. But we create a voltage because of the 60 hertz waveform. If you look at the minimum that we gave to Monica, that she added to that paper, we calculated what the voltage was that's created on these honeybees. All right. We determined what the voltage is on these honeybees. Right? And that happens.
These structures.
And it's 15.6 times bigger than the voltage within the cells.
So they're significantly more sensitive.
So in other words, if we have a situation where if we know what the cell voltage is, which you can measure, but that's from a chemical creation, okay, of the voltage.
Yeah.
Not electromagnetic. It's chemical creation.
The reaction.
Your cell voltage, if we compare that to what the cell voltage is that this guy gets because of this power, okay, it's 15.6 times higher. Yeah. So we decided, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to find out what is the impact of that. If you look up there where she can show you, there is a service entrance cable that comes to a house. You see it?
Yeah.
You see it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. There's a hole that's just to the left of it where the honeybees go in. Just to the left of there, where it dead ends onto the house.
Okay.
There's a small hole there.
Okay.
It's about 3/8 inches high, and that's where the honeybee goes in. Okay. Did you notice on the floor on the right hand side of that, there's literally thousands of them laying there, dead?
Right there.
See it?
Yeah.
Okay. What
Whoa.
happens is the honeybee, when he's exposed to the electromagnetic, not the electric field, electromagnetic field, when he's exposed to it, he becomes confused. And therefore, he's lost and he climbs out of the hive and dies there. He thinks he can get away, but he can't. And therefore, he dies.
So it literally. It's
We actually proved that we can actually create that problem in that environment right there.
Wow.
Okay. That's the problem with this. It's got to have That's one of his problems. Let's put it that way. There could be others. I was
thank
told-
you.
I was told by a biologist that the number of species of honeybees started out to be over 1,000. There's less than 100 now.
Oh, wow.
That's species. Wow. That's where we are. And
So it's decimating.
as an
populations.
example, the biological effects of that is pretty significant. Okay. Anybody got any questions regarding any of this discussion?
It's about like the magnetic field that those towers are giving off. They're affecting the honeybees. How are they affecting us? Yeah.
Well, okay, I'll tell you what, that voltage is the same. The voltage in the cell, okay, if I compare the voltage from this, or from the power line, okay, with the voltage in the human cell, that ratio was still the same. It's still 15 times 50. But the difference is this: you're not exposed to it 100% of the time. It's a function of the time. You got what they call dosimeters. Heard of that term?
Yeah.
Dosimeters. So, like you could measure, what the value of the magnetic field is underneath this line 100% of the time. You're not underneath that line 100% of the time. So the only reason why you don't have that same effect is because you're not getting exposed to it 100% of the time. He's getting exposed to it, maybe not for 100% either, but very, very much higher percentage.
It's getting more sensitive.
Okay.
Wow.
Even though the voltages are the same, it's created on it. Okay. Whether you and him, same. Okay. It's the same electromagnetic field in the earth, the same field. Right? And it's the same field from this as well. Any other questions?
I have a question. So knowing this and being able to prove it, you've got the documentation, the metrics. What's your biggest problem getting it out there? Like getting people to respond to it? Because I mean, it's
the way
impact, it makes sense. And if you can prove it out,
the way we're responding to it,
yeah.
we don't have any wires that are exposed at all.
But I mean, what is your
All our stuff is under.
So with let's say we wanted to create an initiative to replace what we have our infrastructure. What challenges are you running into the current state versus future state? What's your biggest challenge?
Okay, well, the future state, okay, like I said, would be I would put all the feeder cables coming out of a substation underground.
Okay.
Now you don't have it because it's ground potential now on the electric power line. It's ground potential. There is no electric field.
So what's preventing that from happening
And
now?
yeah, talk about your conversations with DTE and others.
What's the issue?
Where are the hangups for innovation to happen?
Yeah.
Well, they know also that there's no electric field. Okay, the electric field is what creates the voltage. Electromagnetic, okay, from the Earth's magnetic field, okay, or from the magnetic field that's creating the voltage. We're talking about the electric field that's created by the presence of the voltage.
Right.
Okay? There is no electric field presented in that piece because it's underground and it's grounded.
So when you're
The jacket on the cable is grounded. Okay, so there is nothing there that they could be exposed to, nor can you be exposed to.
So do they not see this as an issue, even though it is?
Well, everybody knows that okay. Not everybody knows it's a honeybee issue, but everybody knows it can be an issue of whether it's overhead or under.
Yeah, that we know, that I think a lot of people do know.
Yeah.
But are you interacting with DTE and other utilities right now, or are they not even hearing this?
No, we normally, what we do is we build our own systems that don't have any effects.
Yes. And so you're just doing it independently.
In other words, we build a system that has the highest efficiency, number one, the lowest cost, highest reliability, and it has no effect on biological effects because it's all buried. Okay? There is no voltage there. There's no electromagnetic flux there, so there's no effect. Okay, so I eliminated all four of the problems.
And with
What has been your a major barrier to the implementation factor like this new model in terms of what.
Like, is it the power companies like stuck in their old ways, or
Well,
like?
okay, you guys bring up a good point. I can't tell you the situation in New York, how it is there, but I do know this, is that here in Michigan, they have a franchise. Okay, in other words, the electric utilities have a franchise, right? They have a franchise. And we can't just go out and build something, okay, within their franchise area.
Right.
Is that what your question is? I can't build anything within
Well,
their franchise area.
For me,
However-
who's your customer? Who is it working for, and how do you
however-
expand it?
However, there is a way around that. Okay, let's suppose that you are a developer, okay, and you own a piece of land, and you want to put in 1,000 homes. You want to put in some small amount of commercial and industrial customers, and you want to make an independent system, a totally independent system,
Yeah.
where we are going to provide the generation for it, no interconnection to the utility whatsoever. Okay, none whatsoever, no interconnections. I'll still have a reserve margin to cover any outages. Okay, and serve all their electric power needs. That can still be done if I'm doing it directly for the developer.
So it's totally private. It's not
That's
interlaced
private now.
with the public
It's
entities at
private.
all.
It's not
Got
a
it.
public. It's not a public.
Got it. And have you tried to link with the public entities, or
Sorry,
just,
what?
have you tried to, well, I guess I don't know if there's a benefit or not, because the barriers to entry for the public utilities with the current bringing on, like, would they entertain this as something they would do in the future for large public projects?
Oh, I'm not saying that there isn't electric utilities that might be interested in doing this, what I just said.
Yeah,
Where let's say it's a new area, a greenfield,
right.
and there's a lot of new customers that they want to attract into this area. Let's just take a real world situation.
Exactly.
Let's say that's on the horizon right now. AI data centers.
Yeah. Yes, perfect
All right,
example.
Perfect. All right.
Sorry.
In the
Yeah.
case of the AI data,
Sorry.
the AI data centers, okay, those are totally independent systems. Okay, they don't want anything to do with any interconnections or
Security.
any optional ways of interconnection whatsoever. And so those can be totally private.
Okay,
We could do so, and I'm aware of at least one like that.
that is private now.
Yes, it is.
Okay,
I'm aware of that. But, and if you'll notice, I know that they said now that the modular nuclear is probably the best power source for that too.
so going back to the honeybee portion, also with that impact, Monica, you mentioned there's like a study going on, right? A big study. How does that interlace? Like, is part of what you're doing linked to that and trying to positively impact the population or like reduce the impact? I know it will.
Didn't you, Murray, didn't you come up with your own theory of like you proved it? And what was you were telling me about, like, that nobody else has what you were doing around the honeybee?
The proof of the
We-
Proof of that.
We're not aware of anybody that has taken the condition that all these people that publish a lot of data, okay, but have not proved what the actual voltage is that they're getting exposed to, other than the fact that the lady who is the author of that article, okay, she said that the exposure that they have to the voltage is causing them to become,
They like lose their learning capability.
you're getting close.
like dormant.
They get
They get confused.
confused. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In other words, the bee becomes confused after he's been exposed to it, and therefore he can't make it back home after he's done the foraging and he's got the honey, but he can't find home.
I can't look.
He
Okay.
can't find home, and that's another source of the problem. This case is where he's brought his honey back, but he can't get away. Okay,
Wow.
that's a different situation
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there are multiple impacts.
There is
here.
multiple impacts, yeah. Which confused him, and now he doesn't know how to get away.
Wow,
Whereas before, he doesn't know how to get home.
that makes sense.
Yeah, okay,
Absolutely. Yes.
okay.
I got
So
it.
that, we don't know of anything that anybody else has done as
that.
far as calculating the exposure that they have and the magnitude of voltage. That we did.
Okay.
We're not aware of anybody else that did that. Is that what your question was?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Jen's question.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I got
I have one.
Yeah.
We discussed earlier a particular audience that you agreed was probably the most important audience for this conversation.
Yes.
And would you share more with that?
Sure.
Who's that
And
audience?
we,
There's probably three audiences, right?
Yeah.
There's high school students, college students, and then we've got people that's in the profession, right? And probably the best audience to share this with is the high school students.
Right.
there we go.
Okay.
Is that what you find too?
The future.
Is that what you find too?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
that's what we find. Heck, all the times that I ever talk to people about it, it always comes back. It seems like there's always one or two of those students that are high school students really know where the future is going. I'm amazed, really. Whereas when you generally talk to people that's in the profession, a lot of times they're already tied into a system that they're adapted to. They make money based on that system and they can't see outside the box.
It's kind of like our education.
Which is
system.
probably
Well, and that's what what I'm thinking of as you're talking is how do we integrate a technology like this into the current infrastructure to improve it and then slowly transition it away from old to new.
You can actually do an integration. You could do it. You could easily do this. You can easily do the system that we're doing easily into the system that exists today. Easily.
That,
You can
I think, is
integration.
critical.
The question is whether utility would want to do it.
Right.
And Jen, you're on the hunt for these things now, aren't you?
Yeah,
You could tell a little bit about what you're doing.
Yeah, so the work I do is around analytics associated with impacts of projects like this, right? So evaluating them
I'm going to
and
give you
determining
him back for now.
which
And
ones
value
are
and value creation.
exactly.
That's innovation.
Go ahead.
And
What you going to
proving
say?
out, like, for example, all the percentages we're talking about would be the justification that a utility would use to
Oh,
actually
yeah.
execute
Sure.
projects like this. The end is
Absolutely.
there financially.
Absolutely.
And so it'd be funding the infrastructure and those capital projects. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that links heavily into a lot of what I do, not just in utilities.
Yeah.
That's public work, but there's also private work that
Yeah.
it's all the same methodology.
Right.
And so that's what I'm interested in hearing more is if it, and then you just said it, it's compatible to the existing system. And so,
We've already developed the generation piece.
yeah,
We have already done the distribution piece. We are very, very familiar with how to do all of that because we've actually done it.
yeah.
Okay. I think the difference is the fact that it seems like you have difficulty in finding people within the electric utility realm that would be interested in doing that. Okay. It's more or less more applicable for those who, as a developer, wants to do it on their own.
There's no urgency at that public level, it sounds like, for them right now.
Yeah, because they already have a system in place. They're using that system. They've developed it and they're promoting it.
Right.
And therefore, you know,
They're most
they
interested in
don't have
making-
any issues. They're still getting their money, right?
Well, and this would be like a continuous improvement project that would have to, like, I've seen big projects like this take decades. You know, they have multi-decade, but usually they start small, prove it out, and then scale it up.
Well, I'll tell you what, I could take an existing system today.
Yeah,
Okay. An
like a proof
existing
of
system
concept.
where there's a substation right today.
Yeah,
There's a substation that serves a whole bunch of customers.
yeah,
And I could put in our system to replace this part of the system, whether it's the generation, the transmission, the subtransmission, the substation and all that,
yeah.
feeding it, and I could put in my generation to replace that substation and serve that load. I can do that right now. I can do it right now.
Yeah, that would be like a proof of concept. Like I'm just thinking out loud how that you do the proof, you know, prove it out
Yeah,
that it's
yeah.
gonna be done. Then
The
they can
only
measure the
thing I
impact.
don't, the only
Exactly.
part I don't like about what I just said
Yes.
is because by doing that, I don't gain all the benefits in terms of efficiency benefits
Because you're
because
still
our,
attached to theirs.
because our system design is so much better.
Right.
Okay, in other words, we have much less losses, significantly less losses.
Right.
Okay, we are giving you, all right.
If
Would
you had a-
would you rather have your house being built? Let's just say that all you need to do is have the natural gas to provide the energy for heating your house, and I'm going to take care of everything else. Why do you need a water heater? I can do that.
Oh, okay.
Why do you
Oh.
need why do you need any of this extraneous stuff?
I see.
Okay,
So these are implications I hadn't even thought of.
you get you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
We got you thinking.
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying is when we put the system together, it's a complete system. Okay,
Yes.
you don't need it. Yeah, now you're gonna need the electric power, say, for heating your house. Okay.
So in some
Still
cases,
gonna-
it's
still
kind of
gonna
like
need
going
that.
from candlelight to electricity, and how do you, how do you transition people to
Right.
that old methodology?
Yes.
I mean, how would you like to walk down in your basement, and not have all that trash in the basement?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, right. You don't need that.
I don't know what to do with any of that anyway.
If I could work on that
But,
project.
but I guess what I'm saying is, the problem with what I just said is you don't gain all the benefits
Right.
by picking the optimum solution that we provide from the start.
Well, and that's if you have all the right conditions. So it's like, this is a grassroots. If it's,
Yeah.
green field, nothing's there, you
It's
start from
greenfield,
scratch.
all greenfield.
But then we
That's
know we
what
don't
we
have
like.
that.
That's what we like to do.
So what's the hybrid solution?
We like to do the greenfield because
Yeah.
you get all the benefits.
Right.
You get the lower
Big
price.
deal.
You get the lower price, you get the lower losses, you get the better reliability, you get the, we didn't even talk about
But
pollution.
that's where
We
patience
didn't talk
comes
about
in, right?
pollution. We didn't talk about any of this other
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
I didn't tell you at all anything about safety.
Well, and this
Okay.
is a huge implication on
You
all
can't-
these sustainability metrics. That these
Why?
Sustainability metrics
Yeah,
are
yeah.
being built into a lot of corporate strategies
Yeah,
now, and they were
yeah.
not even 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And so part of this, with hitting those targets, could be projects like this. Could be
Yeah.
the things that
Yeah.
private and public are looking for.
Now,
So
what
that's
you're saying
interesting.
is you do consulting for the power authority?
Yes, yes. So it'd be technology, valuation, process, that type of consulting. So it'd be more like, how would we get a project like that in the door? How do they value it? How would they entertain it? Would they issue bids? How would they fund it? That kind of thing.
Yeah. As
So-
long as, okay. Our position on it primarily, as I just said, is that it would be better to go with an optimum solution. Now, we have done others where we've actually implemented, using induction generators, gas turbines, and inverter systems, and Singer's machines.
Yeah.
In a case, in a circuit, okay, but I don't know how to put it.
For an engineer, that's not feasible.
You just don't get the benefit out of doing it right.
Let me ask you a question.
You don't get the benefit.
What you're talking about is the difference between progress and perfection, right?
You could talk about
Well,
Yeah, we could. Sorry.
we've done the progress and we've
Right.
done the perfection both.
Right.
And the point is,
You gotta find some.
I don't want to waste my time with retrofitting.
Right.
Okay, you're talking about retrofitting.
It is, yeah.
That's what it
How do
really
we do that?
Okay,
That's
and
what
we
have
can
to
do
work
that.
with.
We can do that. You can do retrofits. Not a
And the
problem.
benefits of that and measure.
Not a
Yeah.
problem. Not a problem. We can do a retrofit.
But that's
The
not
only-
the idea.
But you're not going to get all the benefits. You're not going to get the better reliability benefits.
Right.
You're not going to get the better loss benefits. You're not going to get the better thermal benefits. You're not, what else are we talking about?
Will you get the
Well,
biological
also,
benefits?
well, if it's overhead,
triple what is it? The triple biological value. as
Yeah.
that.
well, that's why I say in the case of the biological, see that more stuff's all underground. That's why I say it's power without wires. And our system's called power without wires.
Right.
Okay, you don't have all that garbage out there that's in the air to kill people.
No, and I agree with that. And I think a
Okay,
lot of,
so we do the
different
whole
entities and
thing, and
organizations
you benefit
benefit.
from the whole thing.
right.
Okay, it's almost like, so what you want me to do is buy a you know, 56 Ford. You want me to upgrade it to look like something that was built, let's say, for let's just say the year 2025, right?
Yeah.
But when I see what I got to work with and what I got to change, okay, I can't get all the benefits. I can't
No, and
I
that makes
can't
sense.
get all the benefits out of it because it's not designed right in the first place.
So, and that, well, I guess that's the difference for me. And my mind goes right to how would we execute an improvement like that, right? So, an example.
Well, I can do either one.
Well, you can execute it,
And
but
I've
at the
done,
same
I've done,
time,
I've done. In fact, we did one for California Energy Commission.
what you're
I
describing
did
though
one
is
for the
like
California Energy.
replacing the existing structure, right? Completely.
No, we did it. Well, the
That would be the
California,
ideal
the
version.
California Energy Commission study that we did.
Yeah.
Okay, we actually took an actual circuit. Okay, we took an actual circuit and showed how we could upgrade that circuit to make it look really good. Okay,
Okay,
but we still didn't get all the benefits out of it.
right. But you got some.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
So
I mean,
think
the
that's the
voltage
measure.
regulation, this is a good example, okay? Voltage regulation in our system, when we build that system, it is so simple.
You know, is
There's
there
one-
value in
There's one
incremental?
device, there's one device.
Yeah.
One stupid device does our whole voltage regulation for the thing. When we did the California Energy Commission one for them,
Yeah.
okay, to show how we would implement it for them,
Yeah,
there was 7 devices,
wow,
you know, to make it work.
okay,
And now it's a piece of garbage. Okay,
okay,
that from a standpoint that's complex, the other was simple,
yeah.
so on. Now, like I
The
said, my
quickest way to the solution might be in a 12th grade seat.
12th grade teacher.
So,
Hey,
I
It's a
actually got,
future-
yeah, I
Go
got
ahead.
2 questions. I wanted to know, you said you upgraded the system in California. I kind
Yeah.
of wanted to know that, what did you say, 38% to that, 78%, what was the increase? in
Okay, we didn't do
percentage
anything on their
efficiency?
generation piece. We only implemented it for the distribution piece.
Okay.
But we put in the generation on the circuit itself. You get what I'm saying? All right,
So,
we added generation on the circuit
The
itself
existing
to
circuit.
provide the generation for that circuit.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's not the way we would do it if we
'Cause
were
you're getting
doing
the
our
circuit
system.
losses that you would avoid.
Okay,
Right.
it's much simpler, much better in terms of benefits. If I line up all my generation here and serve it, and I get much more, I get significantly less losses and all. We still did the generation piece. But by the time we did that and upgraded that, plus the voltage regulation piece, which was ridiculous, okay, we got a lot of benefits out of it, but to go back and retrofit all that, and you still got the issues of overhead lines killing people. Why would I put my system in? I don't have any of them.
Yeah.
No, any of those problems. None, zero.
so my second question, I work. Right? The Better Detroit Youth Movement. So I'm actually interested in how we can introduce your system to some of the youth within the city of Detroit. One of the projects we're working on was the Adopt a Park program with the Detroit Parks Board. Dr. Jane last field, we're actually interested in possibly developing it into a smart park as a way to develop and duplicate the process.
What are you gonna include in the features for the smart?
So we're actually looking at different ways of taking kids from a curriculum base. We're looking at teaching them with AI core skills and life skills. We're looking at incorporating, as for instance, we would bring you on board and have students that we work with within the inner city Detroit public schools. We will build them, bring them in. We will have teach them and actually possibly be able to work hand in hand with you, so they have applicable skills, but also possibly a curriculum that they can follow suit to thus get certifications to along with creating a model that is duplicable. In the city of Detroit.
I'll tell you what. There's another guy that's working with me on this project. Where we're writing this book right now.
Yeah.
We're well over 2,000 pages on it. Okay. And
He's talking about the last chapter.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're-
he's talking about the last chapter.
yeah.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
We probably still have at least, I'm gonna say 2.5 years left to get to that point. Once we get to that point, man, then you could just implement everything that's in there. You got it all.
He's suggesting a demonstration site.
Yeah.
Right.
For your purpose.
Yeah,
Exactly.
For your purpose.
Yeah,
that's
right,
what
right.
I'm actually, I want to be able to work with you to see
That
if
proof
we.
of concept.
Yeah.
Can we use the adaptive park model as
I believe we
the
can,
platform?
Absolutely.
Well, if I understand what he's saying, though, I don't hear anything about customer requirements as far as power
Well,
requirements. I don't
well,
see
building.
industrials. I don't see.
I don't think we've got there yet.
Well, we
Yeah, this
haven't
is
gotten
the
there
beginning.
yet. Yeah, this is
Okay.
the beginning of it.
This is the beginning of a pilot project.
Oh, okay.
You'll love the park.
Yeah,
It's huge.
We'll call
Okay.
it Jen too.
Well, maybe we need
I
to
would
know
love
more.
to.
We need to know more
It'll
about it.
Yeah.
Through a school.
We need to know more about it.
It'll
What,
power
do you have a
several
car-
other
car?
I do.
things.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't
Absolutely.
have it with me.
We use the large.
She has all my stuff.
I have all your stuff. Okay,
That's why we're here.
yes, that's why I brought you. Yes, I knew I needed to have Jen. I had to like.
Dave Pontiac,
Intro,
he
lighting.
would have been here, but he's in Florida right now, coming back,
yeah.
and he couldn't be here. He was planning on it, but we're like,
We have a couple.
I'd say 2 years.
coming in too.
I'd say we're like 2 years
Okay.
away from finishing it, and it's going to be very comprehensive. I mean, really comprehensive. You'll be
Sounds
able,
like it.
when you get through this class, which will take at least a year,
Okay.
you'll be able to actually design and build a system.
Oh, wow.
It's very.
So it's
comprehensive.
so what you're building is the instructions
So we
on
want-
how to do this.
Exactly.
Actual
So we
execution.
want young minds.
Right.
Down to like how to use application.
We want
So
young
yeah, all
minds
right, we're in
on
the
that.
last chapter.
Yeah, this, exactly. Yeah. Okay.
I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
okay. It's been-
So
it's been
nice to meet
talking to
you.
you.
You too. Very nice. Thank you.
I don't see why.
There's
Oh,
somebody
my.
over- There's somebody else over here with you.
Say hi.
Oh,
It's
okay.
me, Heather.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Yes.
It's a pizza place right here.
There's a.
That's actually exactly what I was about to go do.
Like a big time hit, and then I mean the other people you can when they respond, they say like I asked this one guy to fill out his comprehension, filling the application out. It says here, it says month and year. When we start. Are you? I mean, are you really reading back?
So what I was gonna say is just, talk about the adoptive park program, what we've been doing, how we're looking to bridge Pontiac from Detroit and the neighborhoods downtown, looking for implementation as the placemaking and the workability between the resources within Detroit to be duplicable across.
Beautiful.
Yeah, versus, what is it, 45, I think, or something like that.
Okay, good.
This is part of our Zoom. We have people Zooming
Oh,
to see, all what we have going on, but this is pretty much parking. Sorry about that.
okay, this is like the thing.
Yep, all of it is parking. But I more money in my need. I'm part of the Detroit Youth.
You hear what I said?
It's a nonprofit.
I'm gonna put a little bit of cash in the meter.
Oh, yes. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we been in existence for 15 to 20 years. Pretty much focus on youth development, building life skills, empowering them, living with integrity, situational awareness, and incorporation of a bunch of things.
Yeah.
And post-pandemic, now we're looking as far as how do we get our youth connected to the resources around the city of Detroit, as well as developing curriculum-based education. You're looking at a new model. Educators who are in the field, resource skills, life skills. We just recently done with Narcan administration, CPR, CPR, we did free haircuts, a job resource where we actually have Steve who's doing active yoga in the park right now. Steve's amazing. Steve says we all wear a bunch of hats. Also, process of recovery notes.
Okay, what's your?
Oh, that was out. Yep. So I've been 3 years.
Okay, I'm 2 years. So
Yeah, appreciate you. Yep. But yeah, so that's I also work for the city of Detroit Fire Department.
All about play.
It is nonprofit.
Well, yes.
What else?
Play is that here.
Been in healthcare.
It's all about play.
About 12 years. 12 years.
Ever.
Got degrees. But now I'm doing community.
Right.
I should put the thing over me. These two are being merged for like I'm gonna move it back over.
Okay.
They're being merged together for a rollout of K through 12 playful learning environments. And Steve Ragland is to introduce us to Better Detroit Youth Movement, and Brian will go next to tell about that. So I'm gonna give it.
Oh, nice.
I'll give it to Steve first to talk about his Qigong practice and photography as well.
Okay. All right, I guess I'm on.
So me,
The audience here, I'll just here. The audience here. Okay, you can see me now. They put their left. Let's get them in there. Let me do that.
We got
They don't make that.
Yeah.
See me here, okay?
yeah, she's good. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, here, let's do.
So they built some greenways. Those greenways then will be ways in which the community can
Get them to, right?
Yes.
So put them to put their butts in the chair.
Yes. Oh, Jim and Mackenzie, Steve's gonna give a presentation on Qigong. Okay.
oh, okay, to watch on camera.
Okay, my name is Steve Ragland, and I'm a commercial photographer, also a Qigong instructor. I'm from New York City. I grew up in New York. I moved here 27 years ago. I learned at a very young age, 10 years old, to, can you hear me okay? Okay, good. I learned Qigong at 10 years old. And I was a smart kid. Like, so if somebody says you're not from around here, I thought, well, your mother's not from around here, but I know who she is. And I get punched in the eye and go, hey, why'd you do that? I was just giving you something back, which led me to my Cuban babysitter, fresh from Fidel Castro's Cuba. And she was aggressive. She said, if you come upstairs, if my bike would get taken, and I got bullied. I never told my parents that I got bullied. I kept my mouth shut, but I showed the aggression to the kids outside that I still couldn't beat up. My babysitter says, hey, you come upstairs crying again. You're going to get up here worse than what you're going to get down there. Baseball bat, man. I said, go get your bike. I went out to get my bike, swinging back, eyes closed, tears dripping. She probably had to sneak up on people like I was a cheetah. They'd be like, where'd you come from? Surprise. However, bike would be on the ground, my tears would be dripping, the guy would be over there, bike there, guy there. Wow, what a way to defend myself. This was working, I don't have to extend my hands at all. So one day I got another bully. I'm gonna make this quick. Took my bike, bigger, not afraid of me, but I was afraid of him. But I decided to throw out the trash back there. I took the trash can. I threw it down 8 stories. Yeah. It didn't hit him, but at the 8 stories down, there was a housing police officer. Looked up, counted 8 stories. I hid behind the door. It was 10. And he said to me, where do you live? And I said back, I can't tell you because I'm going to die today. I'm going to die 3 times. My babysitter's going to kill me. My mother's going to kill me. My father's going to kill me. And I'm dripping with tears. I'm not telling you where I live. Of course, I had to tell him, right? He eventually talked to my babysitter talked to my mother, talked to my father. My father was in the Korean War as military police. Very calm man. He said, what's going on with you? And so I've been beat up. And the only way I can protect myself is throwing something. He said, well, you want to learn karate? I'm like, yeah, I want to learn. This is going to wrap this up real quick. We went to the Kung Fu school, we watched the demonstration, and watching everybody punch and kick and all that. I'm like, wow, I'm gonna be Bruce Lee today. Let me come to this class. We sign up. First day we're learning Qigong, how to breathe. Like, I want to learn how to breathe. I need to learn. And then the next exercise was calisthenics, push-up, sit-ups, running in place. And we're running in place. I'm saying, I remember running, faster, run for your life. And how many weeks ago? Stopped and I looked at it like, I didn't even run for my life. I came here. Bob came back from shopping, came back to the class. I had learned that day one punch and a couple of stances. Came back and says, how'd it go? I said, I don't want to come back here. They're teaching me how to run for my life. I've been running so fast that I ran so fast. I remember thinking that my face could catch on fire. That's how fast I was running. The bullets, they ran fast. Right? So, anyway, years later, I looked at my father's military record and I see things that said, oh, he has a Bronze Star. Now I kind of understand what that all meant. Why run for your life and never make it work. Leads me to this next part of this subject. Why Qigong? Why teach others Qigong? For children, the calmness that I learned, yes, I learned the aggressive part, but I realized that you're not invincible. Calmness helped me to think with clarity. Better balance, very better clarity, and help me. And I'd love to share that with children, how to think with clarity. The Qigong gives you not only a better physical body, it gives you a better mental person. That's what, at this age, 60 of my birthday, and I'm able to do like this. Get back like that. We watch different cultures, Asian cultures, they can sit like that all day long. When we watch the balance of the Asian people versus the balance of people from the Western cultures in walking. Western cultures at 60 having trouble. 70, there's a great mobility. Up to 70, and now you're picking up their feet. Just think if you just hit this car. You're down, you broke a hip, you smash your bones before you hit the ground. None. But you watch an Asian woman I've seen them in the mall, Asian women walking full speed. And I'm thinking, well, who's chasing them? However, that's the beauty as we get older. I teach people how to balance. And to just give you just a quick wrap of what Qigong is for me as a commercial photographer, is the ability to focus and see deeper into my subjects as I'm working. The awareness of who you are before I take the picture. Okay? With some of the moves we see in the most famous move in the Karate Kid to balance the frame. Now, Qigong has, I have a team of meditation. It is the fire element, that's the crane. I like to do meditation. But the crane is a part open. So when you think about yogis sometimes, and I'm certified in yoga, they say heart open, and like, oh, you know, they're like it's universal. The science behind the crane is a stretch of the fascia. So when you give a person a hug, first of all, crane looks like this. But when you give someone a hug, you reach around and you give them a hug. Fascia stretches, allowing more circulation in your body, so you feel joy. You're like, hey, how are you? I mean, that's the only way I can describe this because I learned this at 10 years old. So my brain was like, joy, you know. But however, quickly, the Karate Kid, his famous move is the crane. And from a creative standpoint, the director, in my mind, was thinking he was forgiving him for the shenanigans. It doesn't look like an aggressive posture, right? He's forgiving him, but with the shenanigans, of course, he had to throw him, right? But he's open his heart. So we now know that Qigong has this medical purpose. It has all sorts of purpose to bring out the toxins in the liver, the kidney, the spleen, helping you with your emotions, joy, releasing fear by squeezing out the toxins, anger in the liver, if we like to have a little bit too much of grief, We change our personality. So we want to relieve ourselves of those toxins. And by going into the twist and bend, we know worry is generational cultures, many cultures, they shake in their hips. This generation worry in Chinese medicine is in the hips. Grief. Mike, can I answer?
No.
Oh, okay. Grief. When someone's grieving, what's their posture? They're closing. They're closing down this energy. Right? So we open our heart to also relieve from grief. But the posture of a grieving person looks like it's the posture of happiness. Balance. Always, I love to challenge people on their balance because as we get older, we forget where we're putting our feet, as I described the movement. So no matter what age, we can hold the chair. If we can stand, I teach like a little tap dance. This is the crane tap dance, right? Then we balance. Once we understand that, we circle without touching our feet on the ground. That's the next. The fullest expression of that crane movement looks like this. This is an inhale. This is an exhale. This is an inhale. That's one big inhale. Out. And then exhale. When you put your foot down, because you're like, here, what's my breath for so long? You feel joy when your foot touches the ground, but you open your heart. Balance is critical. We teach people just how to step, placing one foot in front of the other, matching your toes, and then repeating the same thing. So you remember where you are. Next move, very critical. And physical therapists do this for a lot of people. They call it a tandem stance. It's the way I learned it, you take your foot, this foot, you focus, and then you close your eyes. Right? This is hard to do with your eyes open. When you close your eyes, you go into the sympathetic nervous system. That's your fight or flight. And your body's like, why am I doing this? This is nuts. Yeah. But when you can do it for over a minute, you start to get into parasympathetic, and you start to heal your body as if you're. So the Qigong has a lot to it. The hip openers can deep, and I'll show you a brief description, and then I'll leave it up to anybody's questions. Sounds good?
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna do a medical plus martial arts Qigong. It's breathing. You'll find that every movement has its use and purpose. Exhale, with the palms pressed to the sky. Exhale. See, now I'm using my hands and down, but I'm also stretching the tendons, right? Inhale, learn to breathe. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. So it gives you awareness of your breath. That's one movement. And now I'm going to just kind of flow it. So it looks, I teach all these movements individually. It's a heart opener. And I teach it all individually. You can do this sitting in a chair. You can do this standing. Right? A lot of your energy comes from your chi. Chi is your breath. Gong is the work. You see the work, the effort. When you see your kung fu, they would say kung fu. That's the work. Chi is just cultivating, breath and cultivation. So that's what Qigong is spelled Qigong, but it's spelled Qigong, right? Not Qigong. I think Koreans who practice the same will say Qigong. I think I've heard it. So let's move. I'm going to show you a quick movement, and then I'll wrap up with a couple of questions. I'm going to bow, and then I'm going to breathe. So it's just a simple flow. It could be more complex. It could be more of a flow. This is more into it. So some people say, oh, it's so easy. I'm like, really? Tell me about it, right? So this gets into the flow. Okay. This is a releasing angle. So I'm shining, I'm like going to Starbucks, get my cup of coffee, it's bad. I'm shining to the world that I'm upset. I'm letting go of this anger. I go back to the guy at the Starbucks. Health department says they can't take it, right? They gotta give it, you gotta throw it away. Here, shift, I throw it out. And I rejuvenate. That it's okay, I'm wiping the slate clean. And I'm coming back to my circle of breath. So now let's release our fear. Slowly stop. Throw the frisbee at the dragon. Block the heat above your head because the dragon's upset you threw a frisbee at, right? Have you seen the Game of Thrones? Now I control the dragon. For friends, I sit on the dragon. For the next dragon, I'm taming the dragon. Throw the frisbee. Block the heat. I'm going to show you. We're going to talk about something. Let's build. There's a little turbulence, I feel. That's his opener. I recommend you try that one right away. This is Diesel. Call it cut the fuzzy down. You can do this with your feet, you know, sitting at your desk. Wrapping up. There's one thing that's super important is called, what we're discovering is called tech apnea. Tech apnea is when you pick up your device, your cell phone, you send an emergency text message. Just helps with breath. Take an iPad from a child, you watch them go, I've watched, and you go like that. You watch gamers, they're playing activity, you watch the posture. Beautiful. So studies are giving us tech apnea, oxygen deprivation, posture problems, increased stress, sleep disturbance, anxiety and depression, and reduced focus. This is what we're discovering now. 10 years from now, we'll probably have bigger discoveries, and they're looking at it as if sleep apnea is equivalent to this term called tech apnea. Sleep apnea is when you're sleeping, you stop breathing, but here you're wide awake and you're not breathing. So what happens in 10 years if we don't become aware of how to breathe? You know, get into oxygen and exhale. And learning to breathe the right way. If I ask 10 adults how to breathe, you know what happens? Everybody's doing take a breath, deep breath. So your chest went up. How does that feel? Feels there you go. There you go. That's what happens. That's not the way it's supposed to be. No, the way your breath is, like you have children, grandchildren, and children. The baby still breathes like abdominal breathing. Animals are abdominal breathing, but as an adult, we develop muscles and we lifting our shoulders. As we get older, we lift our shoulders and we get a stick like after we breathe. We go fly. So that is the awareness to the breath and the body. Walkative does a concentration Qigong. That's why I got these headphones on my ear. Not just to look good. When I do a meditation, a little bit, it's got a little tech in it, I gotta admit. But it helps each individual understand their breath work. It helps them understand in a meditation how to slow down. How to slow down, how to go deeper. If I was doing it on this busy street, you had the music on in my voice, you're not hearing the traffic, so I meditate with everyone just with headphones on, and you don't know, it's just you and I. So you go to TP, we do a concentration meditation, it's just you and I, and not you and the rest of the world, keeping you present. You have any questions?
Yeah, she was regards to the breathing techniques, but how do you get into a rhythm? How much practice it takes to all to get what you were doing? How long does that take?
It takes about 90. If you were doing it every day, it takes about 90 days. You would learn movements in 90 days, and you'll see the transformation in 2 weeks of your teach this. I teach people like they're dancing. It's like I give you 2 moves. After 3 weeks, I give you 1 move. I give you 2 moves, and I say, do this any way you feel. But so you start to go. You start to flow. You know, this is 3 move right here. Right? You start to go. So it'll take 90 days to get it. And it's I have a Tai Chi instructor. He showed me the moves. I was his first student to get his Tai Chi 29 moves, 24 moves in 4 weeks. And he says, now you know how to move. Now you got to figure out how to master your breath. You're on your own. Good. And when we practice together, his movement is so beautiful. And my practice is like, I'm still getting there. You know, his movement is so beautiful. He moves so fluidly. And I'm like a martial artist, so I'm like, you know, it took me time to just be able to slow it down. You just slow it down like you're walking on the.
Beautiful.
So that's it.
Auntie,
Walkative.
taking Quigong. My cousin is her daughter, my Aunt Linda's daughter is taking Qigong right now.
Oh, we should talk. I began to teach from home. I got a studio that I'm getting to teach in Eastern Market with the help of Brian. We're helping in a couple of parks. So we're going to teach. Tomorrow I have a lesson at 7 in the morning. Riding Roosevelt Park, Roosevelt Park, 7 to 8, and then I go teach another class at how do you pronounce that park? Valdez Park?
Valet Park?
Valet Park.
And
right.
on the riverfront.
Yeah, on the river. So I'm giving a speech for the balance of the river and the balance of your mental state of mind. And that's
Say hi to Mama Ray. Say hi to raise a prayer for Mama
Raise
Raven.
a prayer for Mama Raven, our good friend. She was
That's where we met her.
she's the queen of the Detroit riverfront.
Okay, that'll be important. That'll be important.
Her picture's right behind you.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yes.
Good. I'll have to add that to like the Imagine and all those other great visuals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's it. That's my thing.
Thank you.
Madeleine, did you have any questions?
No, I'd love to actually learn.
Yes.
I can teach you online. So we'll share information. I can give you some online classes just so you can learn to re-teach children in the community how to balance their breath so they can think with clarity, like playing chess, I guess, but a little bit more simpler and easier, I think. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Thank you
guys.
so much,
So
Steve.
I have nothing else to say. If no one else has any more questions, thank you guys.
Yes,
Right.
thank you.
All right. That's yours. Yeah, yeah. If you want another one.
Hello, Madeleine and everybody. My name is Brian Harvey. I tell you a little bit about myself. I'm with the Better Detroit Youth Movement. I'm born and raised from the east side of Detroit. Graduated from Cass Tech. I've been doing a lot in the community pieces. But the Better Detroit Youth Movement is a volunteer-driven coalition that is mainly focused on improving the life and learning of our youth. Post-pandemic, I should say pre-pandemic, we were involved a lot in the schools. I personally got involved in 2016 in juvenile court, where I helped students through the process of the juvenile stretch or sentence, as well as tutored in some of the schools. Post-pandemic, we're looking at raising awareness, connecting families, and bridging resources. One of the things that we were accomplished this past summer was the Adopt a Park program with the Detroit Parks Coalition. We adopted Jane Field Lasky Recreation Center. The park itself is called Jane. We put together a program called the Summer of Impact, where we provided resources to the community as far as haircuts, job opportunities, yoga in the park, as we heard from earlier. I actually have a background in healthcare, been in healthcare for about 10 years. I actually put on a CPR and a Narcan administration class because the community is needed in terms of that education piece, serving our underserved as well as substance abuse and mental health. But what we're looking to do with the Adopt a Park program more recently is bridge the gap with the youth that we have been connected to for so long. We've been in existence for about 15 to 20 years. We have a bunch of resources, and now we're looking at pretty much reducing harm, being impactful, and meeting needs within the community. So we're looking at a few curriculums and how we can incorporate them in terms of being applicable to the Adopt a Park program in terms of bridging the neighborhoods back down to Detroit or downtown Detroit, because we've seen the gentrification that's happening downtown and all the redevelopment, but to be honest, our neighborhoods where I'm from are kind of suffering a little bit. So we're looking at models that we can educate children that are applicable, where they'll be able to learn core skills, math, science, and reading, as well as life skills in terms of financial literacy, culinary skills, agriculture, horticulture, farming, and pretty much bridging whatever resource we have available within the city of Detroit. Like I said, we have a network for the last 15 to 20 years, so we're really interested in collabing. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just want to make sure that we're doing good work to be impactful. So I kind of wanted to, that's kind of the spiel I got. We got a bunch of things going. We're looking at a curriculum base that we're going to be implementing into the schools, working with Pass Osborne, as well as another organization called the Museum of Detroit, to look at how we can incorporate to be impactful. Any questions? I don't know. I don't know if you wanted to.
I'm gonna pull up really quick your mural.
Yep.
With Jane Lasky Park.
Yep.
And this is the park. Could you tell us a little bit about like what the park has all around it?
So the park is pretty big. It's connected to Lasky Recreation Center, and it's a lot of hats in play because we just had the greening of Detroit right before we were brought on board with the Adopt a Park that planted trees across the park. It's about 3 soccer fields worth of space. I would even say 4, as well as 2 baseball fields, a splash pad, a golf, putt-putt golf is at the recreation center, as well as the Pistons donated a basketball court that is actually at Lasky Recreation. So we have a lot of moving parts. What we're looking to do for the future of June 2026 is possibly have development into what we would call a model of a smart park that will possibly be able to bridge. Those are the applicable skills that we were talking about that we're going to use within the youth to help contribute to building the smart park, such as, for example, we might have them measure out roadways or distances from we're right on the edge of Hamtramck, or a pathway that will be best conducive to get down to Detroit. That way, we're not so much concerned about the downtown area coming to the neighborhoods, but we have the neighborhoods, and we're bridging that opportunity in that way.
That would be the Joe Louis Greenway.
Yep.
Right.
We are also interested in Play Pilot Project. That is really a part of our curriculum. Because we have learned that our education system and our model hasn't really been working with 30 to 40% of our 4th and 5th graders reading below math and reading proficiency. We are looking at an opportunity to possibly implement a new curriculum base that has a play model where students will kind of focus on core skills as well as life skills. But the core skills will be broken down into a shorter time span, and as well as have breaks in between so that students can retain information. And so we're looking at all these aspects. We got a lot of moving parts, and we definitely want to collaborate. So we don't want to be, we're just interested in being impactful, reducing harm, meeting needs, and making sure we're serving the community that is so in desperately need. And bridging with Pontiac, of course, bridging with Pontiac to Detroit. That's been a great opportunity to present, and the mural for what we have in this space as just an example for the Joe Louis Green.
It's located at the park that you guys have.
Jane, it's on Conant and Davidson, right on the edge of Hamtramck. So we actually have a great opportunity. It's a multicultural space. So we're looking at, serving all populations, of course, and creating a model that can be replicable for other models across the city of Detroit.
And it has a school on the.
Oh, yes, and it does have a school personally actually on the park itself, the Frontier Academy that we are working with.
And Lasky.
And
And Lasky Recreation.
yes, and Lasky Recreations.
What's your model? And actually, somebody makes a curriculum set up to
So I took a pause because I wanted to kind of be concise about, I got a lot of moving pieces. And I'm personally to say, I don't know, I don't have all the answers. So I want to make sure I'm bringing great and bright minds together, which we have been. I spoke with one of the ladies we brought on board. She's an educator, been an educator for about 8 years. She's moving into the space of starting her own business. She just found out about us, and she's trying to come on board with us and working with our nonprofit. So we're actually looking at targeting kind of middle school and high school kids. We're not no discrimination against elementary because we don't get there, but we're looking at those target populations just to be impactful, and in terms of trying to make a difference. Yeah. Any other questions?
Is it volunteer?
Yes, yep. So it's volunteer driven. We would love to have as many volunteers. The more the merrier. The load is lighter when we lift it together. That's one of our mantras that we'll say. So we're definitely looking for people of interest. If you want to be involved, I have my contact.
Linda's a great baker, and she baked these cookies for us today. And you do the brownie company.
Yes,
Tell her
we
about
also
that.
have the Better Brownie movement, as well as the
We'll
Better
get you
Baltimore
baking.
movement. We are international. We're actually looking to be international. We have relationships that are being built in Canada, and one of our co-founders is actually in London right now. Trying to have a program that could possibly internationally cross to be beneficial to our.
So in 2026, we'll take the Gordie Howe Bridge across.
Yes.
Would volunteer just show up, or is there a process to go through?
So we do have forms that you got to complete, volunteer forms that you can complete, which is not hard. But I would definitely give you my contact on our website. The website is called the Better Detroit Youth Movement. And just contact us. If you contact me, I'll make sure we get you involved. If you're a baker, I want to get you involved with one of our co-founders, the Better Brownie.
Yes. Use the skills and talents everybody has.
Because we actually take children or youth with special needs, and we teach them culinary skills in terms of baking brownies, and we sell the brownies, of course, and the proceeds to provide back into the organization to help the students in terms of resources that they need, education, and whatever can benefit, they can benefit.
Nice.
Yeah.
We have their QR code is over there too.
Yes. So you can donate on our website. Yep. The Better Brownie Movement, as well as the Better Detroit Movement, and Better Baltimore.
You're awesome. Yeah.
Any questions, Madeleine?
Question?
I just was trying to understand the name. So the Better Detroit Movement is the name of the program?
Better Detroit Youth Movement.
Youth Movement.
Yes.
So we are already together. Already bridged. I'm sorry, what was the question?
Oh, I think I covered it. Did you have another one?
No, that was the main thing. How long has the Better Detroit Youth Movement been in? I know you.
I don't know the exact number, forgive me, but I know it's been about 15 to 20 years. I've been working with the organization since 2016, so what is that, 4 + 5, that's like 9 years already. And it's been in existence, let's say since. No, I think it's been since 2005. I don't want to quote wrong. Forgive me. I'm sorry.
It's okay then.
Been in existence for a while now. That's why we have such a large network looking to post-pandemic is to bridge those gaps, because it's no reason to reinvent a wheel that somebody's already doing. We have a lot large network of organizations that's doing similar work and or the same work. It's one of my mantras and my vision is why can't we work together? It's not about in terms of who's the face of it. It's just more what difference are we making? Are we being impactful and uplifting our community and changing lives?
Right on.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, Thomas and Sonia, would you like to talk about anything or no? I don't want to put you on the spot. Thomas?
You want to mention something about
Pontiac? Give us some on Pontiac. Sonia's like, go ahead.
Yes, I'm in semi-retirement. I work when I want to, and it's a great fit. Hello, everybody. My name is Thomas Lawrence, and I'm a former. Well, I'm not a former. I'm a semi-retired mental health therapist, and I was a social worker down here in Detroit for 25 years. I worked with mental health, the homeless population, the veterans, and basically with substance abuse and children in abuse services, the gospel support system that he was mentioning. I was a therapist that was hired on one of the programs to make sure I did intensive outreach with kids in your communities, whether at home or in the court system, and make sure that they come to court, they've been adjudicated or any kind of type of minimal crime, so to speak, like misdemeanors, things like that. They have a program called the Stand. They were assigned therapists, case managers from different agencies. I was one of the case managers that were assigned to, one of the therapists, assigned to the youth to help them to deal with anger management, depression, any type of mental health type of things they were working. And also did family counseling as well as group counseling. So then from there, I moved back out to Pontiac, and that's why I was born and raised. So we had a program called LBR, which was downtown Pontiac. It was called Life Beyond Reentry. And what it was for returning citizens. So when they came home, what we would do, we would help them with life skills, job placement. We would do court testimonies on their progress, how they do in the community. And we work with the probation and the parole departments out there. And that's what Oakland County. And in doing that, I became the clinical director. At least out of those 5 years, I was clinical director for 3 years. So I was primarily involved with all the programming that we provided. We did didactics, which is teaching on the different subjects about life skills and things like that. In a classroom setting. And we actually, I don't have to work. I'm in semi-retirement. I work when I want to, and it's a great fit. Hello, everybody. My name is Thomas Lawrence, and I'm a former. Well, I'm not a former. I'm a semi-retired mental health therapist, and I was a social worker down here in Detroit for 25 years. I worked with mental health, the homeless population, the veterans, and basically with substance abuse and children in abuse services, the gospel support system that he was mentioning. I was a therapist that was hired on one of the programs to make sure I did intensive outreach with kids in your communities, whether at home or in the court system, and make sure that they come to court, they've been adjudicated or any kind of type of minimal crime, so to speak, like misdemeanors, things like that. They have a program called the Stand. Trying to work for a better relationship with the police department, because at the time of all the things that are going on in the community, the police do policing, which is a big difference from trying to work with folks when you reach them where they're at, if they're having problems with the community, primarily in the home. So they're having problems in the home, like domestic violence situations, things like that. What we do the counseling, we provide resources. So your program is great for providing resources for those who are looking to get back on track, with assistance with housing, job placement, training, going to school, going back to school. We have a program called the Promise Zone for the kids in the community that come out of public school. With their Promise Zone, they provide scholarships for those who go to community colleges or to go to training, skill training program. So a lot of things that are happening, Pontiac is becoming more of it's becoming more multicultural, and it's a great thing because we have different cultures from different walks of life. We're all living in the same communities. Even in our community, we have a lot more folks that are Hispanic, white, black, and we talk. We're neighbors, and we talk. It's one of my neighbors across the street. He just asked me a couple of days ago. He knows the kind of work I do in the community. He said, "Hey, I would love to." And he's a therapist as well. He said, "I would love to start a podcast with you," because I was going to start one eventually, but he just happened to come over there and knock on the door, and we talked on the porch for a good while. He said, "Hey, let's do this thing. Let's do this podcast, and then we can reach out to the community more with a lot of different diverse and cultural issues and concerns that that go along in communities." So I'm excited about the future of Pontiac. I'm excited about working with this young man here, continuing working with Monica and Jim, because they're like a bridgeway between Detroit and Pontiac. So that's all I want to say. Just like some time.
Any questions for Thomas or Sonia? We won't put her on spot.
Thank you everybody for listening.
Thank you, Thomas.
You're welcome.
Okay, everybody. Well, now we're gonna Madeleine. We're gonna hear from. Do I have the presentation that you gave me last time? Is that the most up to date, or could you add it to the chat?
Like that shirt, sir, go green. White is
He's state guy. State guy. You've never met a more state guy than this one.
Oh, let me shake your hand. Right. Yeah, nice.
Madeleine, you're muted. I can't hear you.
I had the great opportunity of doing a Road to Recovery tour with Placemaking US, and this is back in 2022, I believe, and this is when I met Monica and Jim on our tour, where we were visiting other folks that were in the placemaking movement. And placemaking is what you all are doing right there at Parking Day. You guys have taken and created a social space, a public square where people are together and sharing their work and what they do and how they connect with each other in community. And when we did this tour, it was like over 70 different cities across the US and different folks that were doing this work. And I was learning a lot about not only like every different cities and what people were going through during the pandemic, but I also had the opportunity to kind of reflect on the work that I had been doing, because I worked as a downtown manager for over 8 years. So in that downtown management, one of the first things we needed or saw is that people really want the ability to activate their public spaces, and they want the ability to take ownership and be agents of change in their communities. And since then, there's been a lot of different projects that I have worked on, including like a freeway removal project and working with like the United Way recently with the 4 community project, where they're trying to help bring prosperity to communities through this place-based effort where people from the ground up are being able to actually have some kind of agency to change things in their own communities in the way that they want. And in that process, the kind of background here is that I last year had talked about a beautiful book that I had read, which is called Co-Cities, which talks about how government needs to be an enabler of the kind of change that they need, and they need to get out of the way and let community actually do what they want to do. And this year, I found this brilliant article that was written by a gentleman, which I'm going to kind of go through, because he said that even once we understand how to create this enabling, there's always still this problem where you have to understand how decision making is actually made in community and at different levels, state levels, community levels, national levels, federal levels. And so this presentation, which is called the Architecture Agency, is really to go into kind of what 5 different things were found about creating this agency through decision making and understanding it. So that's what I'm going to go through right now. And Monica, will you just change? These are the different items we're going to go through have to do with subsidiarity, holding spread, meta coherence, convergence, learning infrastructure, meta reflection, and how we start to create stewardship of the design ecologies. And that sounds really complicated, but we're going to go through every single piece really quickly, just so we can look at what this would look like. You can go. This is a gentleman who has a think tank. He's out of San Francisco, but he also has a group in London, and he's the one who wrote this article. And he's a really great speaker, and he talks a lot with community, and their work is really to understand in all these different countries and different nations, everybody has these different ways of doing specific things. So they've kind of been mapping all of it. But you can go on to the next item. And he's an architect by trade. But these are the typologies of decision making. So the very first thing that he describes is that it's really, really important for there to be subsidiarity. And if we go to the next slide, I tried to visualize what this looks like. So subsidiarity means that governance functions are best performed by the closest realm being managed, keeping in mind the scope of the realm and the interdependence with the broader and narrower realms. So if your neighborhood has a, first of all, there's the individual, and let's say that you have a local park that needs work or needs it doesn't have everything to actually be a really good park. The individual in the neighborhood who uses that park might be one of the best people to actually be able, or it could be your block, it could be anything. The individual is often the first person to actually see the problem, and then maybe they're a part of a neighborhood association or not, where they talk to other people in their community, like, what can we do to make this change there? The main thing with subsidiarity is there's certain things where the regulations on how a person can change that park, it shouldn't be coming from like a federal, state, regional level. It should be left to that person at the local level to start to design and create those changes. And then there needs to be this enabling that comes from other levels to help them have the resources and et cetera to be able to do and make the change. So the main thing about subsidiarity is we need to know what level it is that we're working at to be able to make the changes that we need to affect change. The next thing is holding spread. And I really wanted to emphasize, like, I work oftentimes with nonprofit organizations or philanthropic organizations. And one of the things is a lot of times these organizations will bring together a lot of partners across a city. And for example, there'll be a whole bunch of different nonprofits, churches, community groups, associations, etc. And they'll be trying to do something that creates some kind of collective change. But unfortunately, a lot of times what happens is all of those partners are still kind of focused on their own agenda. And so it creates these silos. So even though their goal is to do something collectively, the collectivism never actually occurs. And it ends up breaking down the larger scope or idea of a process. So holding spread is about the recognition of the plurality of decisions without forcing any kind of coherence. And what Indy Johar is saying is that we really need to know who all those partners are and what it is that they're good at, so that we can understand better how things are going to create what he calls meta coherence. So if we go on to the next, it'll show kind of a example. This is a project that I was doing with the United Way, and they had 60 community partners. In this slide, it shows 13 of those 60 community partners in the neighborhood, and they did what's called an asset map of a community, where they, over 1 year process, they worked with everyone in the community to find out what the key goals for that community were. And the community was able to decide those things. But what I wanted to show is that all of these partners are very distinctively different. And I'm going to show you what holding spread really means, is that we have to know who aligns and who doesn't align, so that we can figure out the different parts. So if we go forward, we can show how metacoherence works, and we'll surface kind of the logic across all of the decision making. So this is an example, and I'm using a frequency line to kind of show it. which is from music, but what we have is like the Pico Union Housing Corporation, and then we have LA Lift, which is a job organization. So those two groups, as one example, have very, very different agendas from each other. So one of them really is focused on housing, the other one is focused on jobs. So when they're asked to come together and do something collective, because of the fact that they typically have really different agendas that they're working on, it makes it very difficult for them to come together. And going on, if you look a little deeper, if you can you go to the next one? If you looked a little deeper, just recently, the Housing Corporation recognized that they also need to do job training. So now the alignment between the two groups has one area in which that job training is actually a part of what the other project is doing. So you can start to see that there could actually be some convergence between the two groups when it comes to that one specific area that both of them are doing. But at the very beginning, if you look at it, you can see that their agendas are very distinctive. And in this part, it allows you to start to see that the agendas can start to align. So there might be a space that can be created between the two groups that can have a parallel process or work together. And then once you figure this out and map all of those distinctive partners, then you're able to start to see where the convergence actually comes in. And through convergence, there's legitimacy that's created, sense making, shared frameworks, commitment, shared direction, and some synchrony between them. And this starts to help you make visible the architecture behind the divergence between the groups and also the parametric relationships across that divergence. So this maps the logic of the relationships that allow diverse decisions to coexist, and it also allows the system to adapt while we recognize the connections. And this is just a graphic that is showing how the tension between the values and the tension between the practices of the what's for the public good versus the commercial logic of the organization can go through different stages of acceptance and then synthesis and separation strategies. And this is just something showing when you start to see the logics emerge where people are actually connected. So, for example, two schools, 10th Street Elementary and Equitas, one of them's a charter school and one's an elementary school, but in that community, they're very close to each other and they have the same logic, which most of what they want is to be able to take care of the children, prepare them for college and their life careers. Both groups are doing that. So if we're going to do a placemaking initiative, for example, with those two groups, it's a lot easier to see a actual convergence between what their goals are. And in this situation, the groups really wanted to make safer streets because the charter school, for instance, didn't have any kind of signage for very small youth to be able to go into the school. And so usually most elementary schools and high schools have signs that say 15-mile-an-hour zone, but these little children and their parents were having to rush and get into the gate because there was no slowing of the traffic. So we think of that as an opportunity to actually create beautifully painted streets that people know that the kids are going to be walking down it, which is called urban tacticalism and things of that nature. But we can't actually move to that point until we know that these people have a convergence of their desire for how they're going to keep students safe, as an example. You can move. And then the next thing is really about when we do understand, we need to learn from everything that happens within that process. When you can see a convergence, you're going to have to build a learning infrastructure. And this is something a lot of people don't learn from mistakes that are made. They might think that it doesn't work, but in reality, it's actually guiding the way for how to have an evolving decision-making system. So as a part of it, you need to actually intentionally create this learning infrastructure, which is embedding learning in feedback loops to trace it and have the memory of what happened in that decision architecture, develop collective learning capacities and shared protocols through stories, and then also view every decision as a starting point for further coherence, and it's not a final act. And then at the end of all of that, it transforms, because the learning system doesn't just correct mistakes, it transforms the conditions for all of the future choices being made. And this was just a graphic that I created to kind of give a visualization of what that would look like, with the shared story, the embedding, developing, and viewing, having shared protocols, shared stories, how it's held in memory and traceability, and how each of the starting point, viewing every decision as a starting point, and then transforming the conditions for future choices. And then the last thing is, this is like a meta reflection on all of this, and the reason why it's important to have these typologies of decision making and to make it very clear is, you can go to the next one, is that beneath all of these five typologies lies a deeper systemic reality. A lot of times we find that decision-making architectures can produce violence when they're not aligned with the nature of the system they serve. So while we think that we can bring together people and that they'll take collective action, if those groups stay in their silos and they can't actually work together, it wastes time, money, energy, and it also creates this misalignment that can actually end up becoming a violent thing, rather than something that's a strategy towards an action that's really helping to produce decision making and care within community. That's basically most everything, and you can go toward the next. The goal is to have these stewardships of decision making typologies, like, so that we can be stewards of place.
Nice. Is that okay? Wow.
I think I'm gonna take your idea of convergence.
Yes.
And building.
Yeah.
Can you hear Brian?
Yeah, say it again though.
Said I think I like your idea of convergence with resources and people and opportunities, and being able to bridge to find a common ground.
Yeah, I think the main thing to me is, I mean, a lot of people, like, you will see, like, people want to see the collective action happen, but they'll jump to convergence when they don't want to do the work to actually figure out who in your community is actually aligned. Yeah.
Yeah. I misunderstood. I thought it was.
No. Convergence is good. It's the goal. And what happens is most people jump to convergence when they don't even know. Like, I mean, even if you take a group of people and they all have different likes, you want to put the people, let's say that you want the people who love basketball to be together, or the people who love art to be together, so that when they do the collective action, they're actually aligned with each other to actually make those strategies work. Because right now, what's happening is people are not aligned, and usually the project ends up failing, and the money that was spent doesn't end up creating the change community wants to see. And for me, I've been working on a ground up approach where a starting point for community to be enabled to do the projects that they want, and have these organizations step back and really resource them properly. But one of the best things is that each organization, they've got to be aligned with each other if a group of them are working together. And right now, that's the thing, is we just assume that the convergence is going to happen. And really what happens is people don't have time for each other, and they don't know how to align their goals. And that's breaking down a lot of these processes.
So Madeleine, we're going to be working with, we are working with Better Detroit Youth Movement and Brian here on their placemaking proposal for Placemaking Week. And we're working with you as well on that.
Yeah.
Yes, so Madeleine has an entire team from LA, from United Way, coming to Detroit in June 24th through 26th.
Next year.
Yes,
Nice.
for the Detroit Placemaking Week.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we did. It's the 5th international. And we did it. I don't know if you remember, but we did Chattanooga for the third international placemaking week.
Wow.
So we're collaborating with Madeleine and her team at United Way in LA, and then maybe seeing if we can bring in some United Way Detroit and other like interesting things. We've already got a proposal like that's pretty crazy going on right now, but we're going to feature Jane Lasky Park. So this is Brian. This is another person on the team.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very international, yeah. Nice.
So we're so excited about that opportunity. And Madeleine's just been deep in placemaking for the longest time, and then was with Placemaking US, and now she's founded her own studio, the US studio for placemaking. Can you talk a bit about your new venture, Madeleine, and what that is?
Back when we started during COVID, there was this situation where in the city of Santa Ana, where I'm from, and beyond, there was a lot of, I don't know if you guys all remember, I'm sure that this happened there in Pontiac as well. On the main street were people pulling out and creating restaurants in the street in the downtowns. The alfresco dining. So what happened is a lot of people, the alfresco dining was happening in downtowns, which a lot of the rules that allowed for that to happen was only happening in downtown areas, and it was not happening in communities. So while the downtown would open up and there was places for people to sit outside, in communities people were actually, they couldn't go to parks, they were shuttered in those spaces in their houses, and they couldn't leave, and they couldn't use their streets as public spaces. So one of the things we did is we started working with architects and urban designers to see if we could help communities, because someone called it purple lining, and they said, well, they're doing, like, how come the downtowns can have these alfresco dining but the communities can't use their streets? So we started working and finding community groups that wanted to do something that they couldn't. And one of the very first ones was a Cambodian community where there's a lot of elders in Long Beach, California. They really needed food distribution. So there was a local community center nonprofit that wanted to open up and create what's called a marklet, where people could get food outside on the street, just like what you guys are doing right now in the parking, like in this area, but creating a place for food. And it ended up turning into a Cambodian night marklet. And also it turned into a street fair where people could come and get food, have food cooked for them, also bring food, do a crop swap. All these different things came out of it. And it's because flex zoning was given the opportunity. So from that whole thing, when we started working with these folks that were volunteering their time to help design these spaces that community wanted, it ended up creating this thing we call the United Streets of America. And that team of youth that are coming from universities like Columbia and all of this, they've been working with us to help with these design strategies. And I was working with these groups, and I just decided to formalize it, and that's who we called the US Studio.
Beautiful.
Very cool.
Wow. Anybody else have any questions for Madeleine? And placemaking, does everybody know what placemaking is? Like, have you ever like worked on a placemaking project?
I don't believe I have. No, I have not. Just from you, Mo. Yeah. But it sounds amazing, Madeleine, what you're doing. That's awesome.
That's one of the things that I think placemaking is like a democratic kind of, like Parking Day today. This all began like in 2005 with John Bella and his team at Rebar. They put change in the meter and just turned the space into a park. And so it's turned into this event that's global celebration of taking back the streets from cars. And that, like, it's just something we don't think of. Like, we don't think that this is public, like, our roads are the most public, nationalized infrastructure that we have, but yet we don't own them, only cars. There's no bike. walking and transit and bike, especially in Detroit.
It is
And
the
Mich-
Motor City.
It's the Motor City. Yeah, so, but placemaking has that same kind of ethos and that they're all kind of connected together, like with tactical urbanism and that, and placemaking, it's about a community coming together to create a place. And there has to be more than 10 things going on in one area for it to like be emergent enough so that a lot of that many activities just constantly have, like Campus Marshes has, that's place, except that's only located downtown, and they end up getting most of the resources. So that's why working with like the community is so important, because if it doesn't scale, you got to make it scale. Like everybody needs.
While during this, we made a video, which I just sent you a link for too, that shows like we did the New York placemaking, because New York has been extremely proactive. Like there's streets in New York and Broadway, for example, that have never reopened to cars since COVID, and now the whole thing is a pedestrian street. And there's also whole neighborhoods that use their whole streets now for activities in community. So it's shown in the video that I just sent the link for, Monica, if you want to share it. But we also have the Placeman, which also shows the process of how it all works.
Actually, my mom and my Aunt Linda came down to watch the Placeman
Great.
when it was playing at Campus Marshes. They're here now.
Nice.
For the Better Cities Film Festival. The Better Cities Film Festival team was just with us, but they left. They went away again. But yeah, that's going on this weekend.
Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same place?
Yes. Okay.
Madeleine.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Madeleine.
Thank you all for sharing about your work too.
Yes. Thank you.